Well, this is going to be great.
Welcome to the White House Pod with David A.R. White.
Today, there's a very special guest in studio. She actually flew in to be in here today, and I actually have never been able to pronounce her name correctly, but I'm going to try. This lady has been an actress on so many shows that you have seen. I had seen before I ever met her. And I'm proud to say that she's also in the new God's Not Dead, In God We Trust as well. But today, she is here in studio. Samaire, we call her Sa, but we're going to say Samaire Armstrong. However, her middle name is not Reese, but it is right here, and it says Reese. So I'm still going to introduce her as such. Hi.
Hi. Hi, David White.
Well, hello. And by the way, if you're going to want to watch this one on YouTube, because here she is, and we're going to show you so many images from the time when she was 4 years old, all the way through. You're going to want to tune into this. Not to mention, look how pretty she looks today.
Oh, thank you. I think, as I said earlier, I think it's the bronzer.
You always look so tan.
It's just the contouring.
Nah, I don't think so.
That was such a nice introduction. No. I really thought you were talking about someone else. I figured there must be a guest coming on after me.
There's an empty chair over there, so you know what? It was you. It's all you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
How was the flight in? Did you fly in today, or have you been here for?
Is this like a Las Vegas joke, or no? Boy, are my arms tired. Flight in was great. The clouds look especially weird lately.
Oh.
Yeah,
really?
I think it's probably, we don't want to go down that road.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can't start there, Sa.
Okay,
so,
sorry, David.
all right. So, you had a name like
right.
How do we actually pronounce your name?
It's pronounced Samaire.
Samaire.
Actually, I did that really well. After 40-something years, I have it down, finally. Yes.
Was it ever hard to pronounce your name?
Because at first my parents named me, and they named me Samaire because that's how it looks phonetically.
Yeah, Samaire, right.
But then
I could say that.
Anybody can say that. And it would make so much sense in my life, so much easier every first day of new school, you know? Mm-hmm. Instead, a Scottish friend of theirs told them a few months into my existence on Earth that it's actually Samaire.
Samaire.
Yeah, but it changes with inflection, like depending on if you're mad at me or, if I'm in trouble, then it's like Samaire. So it depends. So it's very confusing and really so much easier.
How did you become a well-known actress in Hollywood when no one could pronounce your names, not even you?
I don't know.
How is that even possible?
I don't know.
Did they just call you Reese?
No, so I don't know where Reese came from.
Samaire Armstrong. Right here.
Yeah.
Right there.
Wikipedia. Yeah,
Is that on Wikipedia?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think you could change. I think you can go in there and say, this isn't my name.
I've tried to change a few things on Wikipedia.
You can't do
that? No. But I don't know. It's kind of some fun anonymity, I guess.
Anonymity that
when a lot of banks ask for your mother's...
Yeah. What about your passport? Does it say Reese Armstrong?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't at all? How about your driver's license?
Neither my driver's license.
Only Wikipedia?
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting.
Bizarre.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, so where are we from? Where are you from?
Well, I was born in Japan, Tokyo, Japan.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It doesn't get less complicated as the story goes on. And no,
in Tokyo.
We're not in the military, but my parents traveled a lot. So we lived in Humboldt County they opened a fitness center out there. They lived in
Humboldt County in
Arcadia, Northern California.
Oh, see, I thought I know of that.
Yes.
But I thought you were just talking about Tokyo. So I was like,
no.
I was born in
Humboldt
Tokyo.
County,
in Humboldt
Tokyo.
County.
Yeah. No, this is a sort of Tokyo, Humboldt County, Nagoya, back to Humboldt County, Kyoto, Hawaii, Arizona. Palm Desert was somewhere in there. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So where did we go to high school?
Oh, Sedona, Arizona.
Ah.
Yes.
Wait, you were here, and then how did you get to Sedona? When did you move to Sedona?
You mean like recently?
No, like when you were a kid.
Oh, okay.
I haven't got to page 38 yet.
You don't know this.
She's done a lot, by the way.
How did I get to? Okay, so after Hawaii, it was time to go back on the mainland. Basically,
how old were we at that?
I was 13, I believe.
Now, was it always easy for you to move around this much?
It was, and I think.
Are you the oldest or youngest?
I am the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're most responsible.
No, probably not. But but I definitely like new places.
Were you like a twin? Were you like a minute older than?
I was 8 years older.
8 years older?
Yeah, or I am still to this day.
You're still 8 years older than your sibling. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have a brother.
Only one.
Yes.
Okay, 8 years younger. By the way. Okay.
Yeah.
But so moving was easy for you.
I enjoyed it.
Did you have this charming personality back then?
I had to. It was survival.
Yeah, that's true.
I curated this charming personality.
You're 13 years old. You moved to Sedona, and was it everything that you had dreamed of? You're like, oh
I
my
was
gosh.
pretty mortified actually because we were landlocked. I thought we were just like in this sort of cowboy town, and it wasn't anything like Hawaii, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Or Tokyo or Kyoto. So, but I grew to love it. And
do you speak fluent Japanese?
And I speak fluent Arizonan, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. But no, yes, I speak conversational Japanese.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about Chinese?
I do not. No.
Okay, so how old are you now?
How old am I now,
no,
David?
No, that's not what I'm asking.
That is so
That
rude.
is not what I'm asking. I'm saying, how old were you when you got this acting bug? Because you're on a podcast that's called Dare to Dream.
Yes.
So where did this dream come from?
Yeah.
To perform, because you're actually a really good performer.
Oh wow, thank
I
you.
know. I'm not the first to say that.
Oh,
'cause, there's
no.
I'm on the last page actually. I think of a big part of this.
Thanks, David. I always wanted to be an actress. I think it was because my mother was an actress, and she grew up in the theater, and so she really encouraged it when I was excited to do it. She was like, definitely go for it. And she actually had an audition she didn't get to make, but she did have an audition for Godfather.
Wow.
To play the daughter. And she had moved to Hawaii, so she never got to make it. It was like a missed opportunity.
You mean like a self-tape back then?
It was I believe they were in-person auditions, right? Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? You just said, she never got to make it.
Yeah.
I was thinking like,
yeah,
making
she never got to go to the audition.
I see.
Yes.
Yeah. Where was the audition?
In the
California?
probably the Valley, I'd imagine, somewhere in California.
There's actually a show on about the making of The Godfather. Have you seen that show?
I haven't. I heard about it,
What's
though.
that show called, Dylan? Do you know?
Do you know?
It's actually really good.
I asked Scott Baio why he didn't audition for
The Godfather? How'd that go?
He was rather mortified because he's like, I was 8.
The irony is he's been on the podcast, right? And I asked him the exact same question.
Well, you did?
Yeah.
Because he's Sicilian.
Well, we had to cut out his response.
Oh, really? He's great.
He was great. Yeah, it's called The Offer. That's
The
right.
Offer.
Yeah. It's actually really good.
I'll look into it.
Yeah. Speaking of, maybe your mom should watch it. Mm-hmm. So she didn't get the audition, but what happened?
Yeah,
Is that it? She just gave up the dream after that?
Well, she moved to Hawaii and started a new life, and it wasn't the course that she was going to travel.
Yeah.
And so, but I remember vividly, and I
How
often,
old were you at that time?
During this.
I'm not.
I was not alive. Yeah.
Okay.
During that time.
Yeah,
no, that
yeah,
was not.
yeah.
No.
But I'm trying to understand.
Neither were you, I don't
No,
think.
But I'm trying to understand where the passion.
The correlation.
Yeah.
I think that she maybe just passed it on to me, and I always wanted to be an actress. It was the one thing I knew for sure in life, and I had seen Sigourney Weaver in Alien, and I was like, I want to do that. And I have yet to do that. I have not played up against an alien yet, but
Really?
No.
I'm actually surprised you have not played against an alien. But it's amazing to me, though, that I don't think I've ever, in all the conversations that I've had with people, that they've ever said the reason why they wanted to get into acting was because of Aliens.
Yeah, the movie.
Or Alien,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Aliens was
Well, I just
right?
remember I had the opportunity. My mom was taking me to see a movie, and she said it was a choice between two, and I can't remember what the other one was, but the way she pitched Alien, which
Wow.
I must have been. I mean, I must have been very young. She said it's about a strong woman who could do anything.
That is true.
And I was like, I want to see that.
What about Terminator? Did you watch Terminator?
Of course, Sarah Connor. Oh my gosh.
But that was Alien before Terminator?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because was Terminator one of those things too that you were like, oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
I have to be an actress?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Have you done a lot of gunplay in movies?
No.
Because of, I think I asked you this on set.
I haven't, and I find it very strange, especially because that's
those two things.
Those two things, and the background of my father. He works teaching close combat, so it is
What?
Did I never tell you that?
No.
Oh, that's a wheelhouse I grew up in, so I'm very familiar and well versed in it.
Wow.
And it is odd to me that I haven't had the opportunity to really dive into a character like that.
All right, so you moved to Hollywood. How old are you when you moved to Hollywood?
I was 18.
And from Sedona?
Yes, I went to a year at U of A and as a pre-theater major, and I was like, I've been doing theater my whole life. What I really want to do is film and television. If I spend the next 4 years in college, I'll be, in my early 20s, but it might be too late. So I'm going to go out to Hollywood and see for the summer after first year of college if I could get background work and if this is even something I want to do. And so
You're 18 at this time? 19?
I think I must have been... 17, 18.
Okay.
And then when I moved here...
Had you been modeling in Sedona? Were you like the poster girl of all Sedona?
What does that mean?
I mean, like, were you on the, I don't know, of any ads that would ever be put out, shot in Sedona? They were like, oh, call Sa.
No.
Really?
No, no.
Amazing.
Thanks.
I'm surprised. You had not done modeling growing up?
No. I mean, in Japan, I think I did. I know I did once, but no. And actually, that was a very distinctive difference to me. It was like, I remember I hit my head under a bridge when I was like 7, gashing wound, and I didn't want to get it fixed because that's scary to get stitches. And my mom said, "You'll never be able to be a model." And I said, "I don't want to be a model. I want to be an actress."
Wow.
So yeah, that was.
How old were you at that time?
I was 7. Yeah, 7.
Even at that age, though, you knew you wanted to be an actress.
An actress, yes.
I mean, at times my daughters have both said they want to be actresses. They are in our movies, and they're actually both very good at acting. But they've since kind of, it kind of comes around every now and then. I didn't know I wanted to even act until I was like 14. So that's early.
Yeah, no, I have a video. My mom took a video of me. It was 3 or 4. I could speak, so I was very.
Were you a singer too?
Not so much. But she asked, "What do you want to be?" And
Were you
I want to be an actress.
Were you doing musical theater stuff though? I mean, that's all of what it is when you're young.
No, we did. It was all theater, school theater. Yeah. Yes, I guess it was technically musical theater.
Were you a tap dancer too?
No, not a tap dancer. No.
Did you do dancing? You must have done dancing too,
dancing.
Though, right?
Yes.
Kind of all goes together.
Yes. Yeah.
But the modeling, you were like, no go. I'm not going to take a picture for Sedona News.
There is a Sedona News. Hi, Kyle. No.
She's been on this, just for the record, a lot. In case you Google it, and we're showing it to you right now on YouTube. Go to YouTube.
Been on what?
Sedona News.
Oh yes, it's true. Yeah.
In some, okay, keep going. I'm going to leave that my next thought out. Okay. I'm trying to make a filter. I don't really have one very often.
It's okay,
but
don't do that.
Well, it's probably better. Okay, so we moved to LA. How do we move to LA? Did you have a boyfriend that was like said, "Hey, I'll drive you out," and you're like, "Well, you're not even my boyfriend, but I'll let you drive me."
What?
Was there a bus?
No. There was an aunt and uncle who lived in the valley.
I thought you were going to say there was an airplane.
There was an airplane. Well, did I drive? Of course I drove. I needed my car. Yeah. So I drove.
At 18, who doesn't drive?
I believe, actually, I think my dad drove me out. Nice. We drove out together. And
was he packing?
I don't think you can cross lines packing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, from Sedona, people do all kinds of
It's true.
things.
We do all sorts of weird things out there. We drove, I came for the summer. I did some background work, and the sense was very much like, why am I doing background work? This is,
What was the first thing you did background on?
It was a kid's show. I can't remember. It was like some Saturday morning kid show. And then I got some background work.
Because you probably looked young. When you were 18, you probably looked 15, right?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I got background work on a Pamela Anderson show.
Baywatch?
No, it was her.
VIP?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they never used me. I just stayed in holding the whole day.
Wow.
But I started learning a lot about the process.
Pam? Was she walking around in those like crazy outfits that they wear?
Yes, black latex and
That had to be a little interesting.
It was rather interesting. Yeah, she was lovely. So by the end of that summer, I was like, I'm never going home. This is what I want to do.
Wow.
And it was interesting because, I had acquaintances, friends, family in the industry who sat me down and were like, the chances of making it out here are very slim. Gave me a percentage. It was like gloom and doom.
But you had friends and family in the industry.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah.
From Sedona as well? It's like Sedona a hotbed for talent?
Actually, yes, it is.
Wow.
In Sedona, there's a girl by the name of Michelle Branch, Emmy winner, sang with Carlos Santana. Thank you.
Yeah.
But no, they weren't from Sedona. We just migrate out here because it's so close and our dreams are here.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so you talk to the friends and family,
so
and they
were saying, "Don't do this. This will be the worst experience
You're
of your
18
life."
years old.
Yeah, nobody makes it.
You've never modeled,
it's
and
a
other
terrible
than the Sedona
industry,
news.
and only a few people make it. And so then, all I heard during the conversation was, "Okay, so a few people make it. So basically, I'm going to be that few people." But if you have had a dream since 3 years old, since the moment of consciousness that's what you were going to do, there's no other way to live. That's what you do.
What's interesting, though, is I would have thought that you would have been like people with those dreams in my head, since 3 years old, would be, lacing up their tap shoes. They would be belting out songs all over the house, doing like musical theater just nonstop. I
wasn't really into the musical theater.
You don't seem like you are at this point.
Yeah.
But like.
No.
That's interesting, though. I mean, I don't know that I've met people who wanted to be actresses or actors at such an early age. Like, what are you studying Shakespeare then? And you're like, Mom, you're 6 years old, and you're like, to be or not to be?
Yeah, she would walk me through, like, she would put on a video camera and be like, okay, you just got a present. Act surprised. And, like someone took it away. How do you feel?
Were you doing commercials early?
No.
When was your first acting job?
When I moved out here.
What was this?
It was, my very first acting job was a TV show called Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, yeah.
And it was...
Were you a regular on this show?
Well, it started as a co-star and turned into a reoccurring.
Wait, we got to back up. How do we get an agent?
Good question. I think the very same person who tried to talk me out of moving here, by the end of the conversation, when they realized, wow, she's not budging, she's like, okay, let me make a few calls and see if any of these people fit. And that was an interesting process because if you're lucky enough to have someone make a call on your behalf, navigating what type of agent you want to go with is... it's very strategic because you could go into a bigger agency and get just lost into the filing cabinet and never get sent out. Or what I did was I took a gamble in a very small agency called Bobby Ball Agency. I don't think it's even around anymore, is it?
We all know Bobby Ball, yeah.
Is it still around?
I think Bobby Ball's still going.
You're kidding.
No.
And because it was a smaller roster, they sent me out on so many things. And immediately, they really took me under their wing. And
how long before you got your first job?
Okay, so I looked at it like I was going to be going to college. So it takes 4 years to get a degree. Mm-hmm. I had read an article that Sarah Michelle Gellar came out to Hollywood. Now, granted, she had won like an Emmy or something. An Emmy? No,
Sarah Michelle Gellar would probably want an Emmy.
An Emmy, a daytime Emmy.
Yeah.
So it took her 7 months. So I was like, okay, I got 7 months to make it.
Wow.
And so I think actually it was about 10 months. Within the first year, I had booked on what was it? Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long were we on this show for?
I just did 2 episodes because the show got canceled.
Oh. Okay.
But what had happened was that they wrote me into the final episode, and then they brought me back, I think, to write me into the episode before it, or so some sort of thing happened where they like figured out how to put me in another episode. And then I was like, wow, that, you know, that can happen. I mean, basically you're so young and naive, like you've never heard no, or if you heard no, you're like, they don't mean that for me. And then all of a sudden, like, people are writing you into other things. I'm like, this is how it's always going to be, you know. It's like always going to get better than my expectations. And I think part of that like belief system actually led to that being the case in many scenarios. But I mean, that's all I was eating, breathing, sleeping, getting the audition and going to acting class. And I mean, it was my everything, absolutely everything.
How, all right, so were you in an acting class? What was your acting class?
It was called Andrew McGarrian's The Shop. And it was so very, do you know that? No. Okay, he was in the Valley. I think he might still be there. Oh. But his emphasis was on young people and I guess kids is what you could say. And because of that class, I had the opportunity to really blossom and grow up with a lot of other actors who became, you know, well known in the industry. So we kind of came into it at the same time.
Together,
And he was no BS. He was no, like, there was no special technique that you needed to use or pull out of your hat. It was like, be honest, be real, and if you're not allowed to phone it in, he will stop the class and berate you if you do. You know what I mean? It was like so legit.
What was the youngest person in that class? Do you remember? Like 14 or something?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. This is a side note, but I'm curious about you know what? Never mind. No, I'm curious about like at that acting class, right? You said he would berate you.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a new person out there and you haven't been in Hollywood, you know, you hear horror stories about people yelling at you. Yeah. Right? We don't seem to, back in the day,
care.
People didn't care.
No,
they would just yell at you. Yeah. It wasn't like politically incorrect. You would just get yelled at. Did he use language yelling at you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he didn't, you know, it wasn't so much like he did it with intent.
Did he throw a chair at you or anything?
No,
it's not
he
that
was
much.
Wonderful. It was because of him that I had so much confidence to go and do these things. You know, it's like if you can't handle the heat of an acting class, and a lot of people can't, then you're not going to be very steadfast on the day of filming. You know, and he broke down the harsh realities of what filming is like. Now, it's a totally different industry at this point in time. It's probably not even relevant. I mean, it's the whole different world too. You know what I mean? But and when I say berate, I mean in a very positive, humiliating, humbling way. You know, it's like no
it's
BS.
It's the way I like all my berating to happen in a positive, uplifting, humbling way.
No, it's like you can't be a phony. Like this is the top of the top.
All right, so after Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks, yeah.
Freaks and Geeks. Where do we go from there?
I was lucky enough to get a guest spot on X-Files, and then, you know, just started.
Were you an alien, or did you see
I was
an
a love interest of a boy who could control insects.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was good. It was a great episode.
And then where do we? How? Okay, so because a lot of people saw you on Entourage, right? Okay. Is Entourage before? How far in?
By the time I was on Entourage, I think I was 23.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was
very old.
Yeah, so that was after
seasoned.
Yes. Yeah. That was honestly Entourage. I could not figure out why they cast me. I just couldn't. I didn't know what I was at that point. Like I wasn't.
Had you worked a lot? Because I
did the OC, and that made sense to me.
You did ER.
I did ER. Yeah, I did
Party of Five.
Yeah, but the OC Entourage was like a really
big show.
Yeah. And
you had done the OC
I had done and obviously the OC was a very big show too.
But were you a regular on the OC?
I was a reoccurring.
Okay.
Small differences, you know. It's like regular, it's a little bit more security.
Yeah. But you've done a bunch of episodes.
We might call you again, you know.
But you had done a bunch of episodes.
Yes, I was on the first season. Yeah. And that too, I was only supposed to do a couple episodes, and then because of the turnaround time from filming to editing to posting on TV was so minimal. It was just a few weeks. The response from the audience was loud enough that they could keep me. They decided to keep me because it's like, wow, this is good feedback. But at that time, I was playing a teenager. So I went from playing a teenager to working in Ari's office. And I was like, how did this happen? You know, he was incredible, is incredible. You know who I'm talking about was
Jeremy Piven.
Jeremy Piven. I love him.
Because he is always yelling and berating, and
I was used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Does he rehearse the same way? Is his rehearsals the same as his
his takes?
Yeah,
pretty much. But one of the best things I learned from him, we had a walk and talk. That's when you film and you're walking at the same time. And
Entourage did a lot of that.
Yes, yeah. And in the middle of it, I messed up my line and I stopped. And they're like, cut, you know, reset. And he said, hey, next time you mess up your line, just keep going, make it natural, like use it. And it was such a great lesson for me to, and he wasn't like, you know, you messed it up, but he was like, embrace it. And that was like, wow, okay.
He seems like a real actor's actor. I've never worked with him or met him or,
I have nothing but great things to say about him.
Like he's just committed and he's been around a long time and done a lot to things before and after. Yeah. And so it's hard, like,
Yeah, like, all of them. I mean, a lot of the people on Entourage were newer to the industry and the writers, the producers,
now,
everyone was just having...
Than E?
It was about E's height. Yeah, he was great. Kevin Conley. Yes.
Because you're the Lovin'. You guys were, okay. Mm-hmm. And how, so we go on Entourage. We're on there for, how long are we on there for?
A season. Yeah.
And you're the big love interest of the season.
Yeah.
What
Season
year?
1. What year?
No. What season of Entourage?
Season 1.
Oh, it was season 1.
Yeah.
You're like a season 1, like you kick off the huge hit series.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why? So when you're on Entourage for that whole year, did you feel like I'm going to be on here forever? This show is going to be like, did those guys think that they were going to be on the show forever?
Oh, they definitely had something as soon as they put it out that it was hot.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a culturally relevant, iconic show. And, but you know, I was just a guest star.
Were you in the pilot of that?
No.
It had been on for a minute.
No, I can't.
Had you ever seen an episode before you actually went on to be in it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So it was really early on in the...
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I was in the pilot. I think I was in episode 2.
At the end, you guys break up? I forget. Not to do a spoiler, but...
In the end, we break up. And what was interesting was during one of the table reads, we got the script and we had broken up in the show. And then I call him in the middle of the night asking him back. And I said, you know, I really just don't think that Emily, my character, would do that. They're like, oh, really? And then they wrote me out of that episode. They're like, maybe you're right. And they're like, aren't you bummed you said something? I'm like, yeah, I'll never say anything again. But that happens. They'll do a table read and things will totally change. So it went a totally different that episode went a different direction. And I did not call E.
Mm-hmm. Did you, when did you do table reads on that? Like how...
before every episode.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, and then you'd start shooting for what, 5 days, 7 days per
probably
episode?
8 days, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how the OC was.
And then would you take a day off or something or two before the next table reading to kick off the next week? I'm only asking this because, so sitcom world, right?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you come in on Tuesday.
Yeah.
For when the show I was on Evening Shade, we came in Tuesday. Table read, and then you rehearse Wednesday, Thursday, Friday you shoot in front of the live audience.
Right, yeah.
And then you start all over the next Tuesday. But
yeah, I don't know. I remember, like, the OC, I don't remember Entourage specifically, but it was 8 days of filming. So wherever that landed, I don't think there's necessarily like days off, right? It's just the weekend happens and then you go back to work. If you could start the table read could be on a Thursday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever.
When Entourage ends, what do you go to do? Are you doing 2 shows at once? Do you immediately catapult yourself into the next show, which is
the first the first 5-6 years of my career was really rapid, And after the Entourage, I went and filmed that year, I think like 3 movies.
Wow.
And so it was kind of just like ping-ponging back and forth between different projects like that.
What kind of movies are we doing?
I did a movie called Stay Alive, which was a horror film. We did that with a bunch of other leads from other television shows.
Are you still with Bobby Ball at this time, or have we graduated to a bigger agency?
Yeah, the unfortunate, part of Hollywood is that you really do have to like figure out strategic steps to where to go, when to do it, and at some point, eventually,
did your manager move you, or did you? No,
Yeah.
I want to jump.
Yeah. At that point, I had, I can't really remember. That was a long time ago. But I think at a certain point, you reach a threshold and you need a little bit more support and exposure. And it's all about relationships and, who's connected to who. So,
But it's a hard thing as an actor, though.
It's hard.
Because, I don't know, I believe this about you, too, is I'm a loyalist,
That's
right?
the word,
so
yes.
I have a hard time leaving.
Yeah.
I always had a hard time leaving my agents to go to a bigger agency or a different agency.
And the thing is, the funny thing is, or sad thing is that they don't have a hard time letting you go. You know what I mean?
I do.
It's part of the process.
I think that they do, though, actually.
I mean, the agency itself,
I have some agent
overall.
friends of mine, and they are always like, they can pinpoint that, how that person jumps.
Right.
They can see them about to jump.
Right.
And they
know.
know.
No, I mean that agents often have to cut their roster.
Oh, yes.
It goes both ways.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Believe me, I mean, Bobby was on the phone earlier, and she was saying literally how when you left, though, there were a lot of crying going on for a long time. So they did know when you left, for the record. And you could thank Bobby Ball for that. Okay, so
that's so cool. You guys know Bobby Ball.
Of course, everybody knows Bobby.
Everybody knows Bobby.
I mean, if we've been in this industry for a while, yes, I think so.
They helped me get my start.
All right. So, did you go to what? Okay. So you do movies.
Yeah.
Were it based on? Were they coming out theatrically at the time?
Yes.
And so was it? Did you feel the pressure of, oh wow, if this movie doesn't perform, I'm back to TV?
No, it wasn't one or the other. I mean, because at this point, film.
I may not live in the next horror movie. I may actually get killed. Like I may be the first person to die.
Right. No, I think again, I was still too young and naive to have any sense of consequence. Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so when do we go into this? And if we go from the movies to more shows, because you got CSI Miami, you got Living with Fran, you got is that the
yeah. I mean,
trajectory?
It's a back to
when
television.
was Dirty Sexy Money? I remember watching you on that.
That was 2007, I believe. Mm-hmm. That was a great series.
Sometime after that?
Yes,
stuff,
that
though?
was after that.
Okay.
Yes. And that was for ABC, and I was really excited because Patricia Fields, who is an icon in the fashion industry, she did the wardrobe, costume and wardrobe for Sex and the City.
Yeah, you guys looked really good on that
Yeah,
show.
she did it for the pilot, and then essentially the West Coast version of her did it for the rest of
There's so many good people in that. Billy Baldwin was also... that's when I first started watching Billy Baldwin of all things. Because he was in our Beckman movie that we did a couple of years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was great. I've worked with almost all of the Baldwins.
Oh, yeah.
But, and then Donald Sutherland, right, was the
Yes.
father who was really great in that
Yes.
show.
What a great actor.
How was that working with Donald? I have my story about
Striking.
Donald.
Yeah.
What was yours? Every day you'd go to...
He played my father.
Yep.
So,
Was he loving towards you?
Yes,
That's
he
good.
was. Was he not towards you?
Not at all.
Did he play your father?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I remember, this is my story of Donald Sutherland, as I was on a movie called Outbreak.
Oh my gosh, you were in that movie?
Yeah, I got cut out.
Oh,
but I was on it for a week. And so my first opening thing was I was a pilot. And I was watching him, Wolfgang, Peterson was the director, and I show up on this 300-page, also the script was 300 pages.
Whoa.
Which we knew that somebody was going to get cut, and yours truly got cut. But my first day was watching Donald flying the helicopter and doing like 80 takes of this one line. And as a young actor, you're thinking, oh, wow, amazing. How in the world did he come up with that many different interpretations of this line?
Yeah.
And he gets out and he's walking, in his whatever suit, and I said, Mr. Sutherland, I've been a fan for many years, and I gotta say it was, whatever. I complimented him, and he said, and I said something like, I forget what it was, something about how great your work was, and he literally looked at me and he goes, I know, and he turned and walked right away. It was at the snack table, and I was like,
oh my gosh,
okay,
wow,
and that was it. And then I never had another meeting with Donald Sutherland.
Wow.
Anyway, how was yours? He was much better to his daughter.
Yeah. I will say there was a... Will this get me in trouble?
Huh?
Okay. There was a scenario where...
You're going to want to watch this on YouTube right now because Sa just said something under her breath, but you can read her lips, but you cannot hear it on
One
Spotify
time he was
now.
called to set, and he wasn't ready yet. He wasn't, he was being rushed.
Yeah, I can't imagine how that went.
And so he said, I'm not done getting dressed. And they said, well, we really need you, Mr. Sutherland. Fine. And he went to set in just his top portion of his was suited up.
Yeah.
And his bottom portion was his, boxers, I guess, or whatever it was.
No pants.
No pants. Yeah. And they never rushed him again.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So take away one. What's your one memory from that show? Besides that, that's a good one.
One memory from the show.
And by the way, I still am a big fan of Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, he's
fascinating.
Yes, absolutely.
To watch.
No, that was an exciting opportunity to be there on the ground level because mostly I was coming in as a co-star or guest star as the show was already being developed.
How many years did that last? Couple?
2. Yeah,
it's unfortunate because it was so fun and
it was.
There was so many. I mean, it was a nighttime soap,
and it was very opulent. Peter Krause, wonderful actor, wonderful human being. I mean, everyone there was just so kind, and to get the opportunity like we've had, right, where you get to work with people you actually like, and it is,
and who are extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this podcast can only last so long. They're always gonna. No, I did not mean to do that now. They always rush us. It's not fair, Sa. All right, when looking back at all the people that you have worked with, because you go on to. I mean, my goodness. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, please look up Sa because
thanks, David.
You've done so much incredible television. And movies.
Thank you.
Who, like Jeremy Piven, Donald Sutherland, when you look back, who do you love? Who have you watched and been fascinated? As an artist, first and first.
This is a tough on the spot question.
Yeah. And then on the second side is who? Well, let's do that first. The artist part.
I don't.
And you can't say those two guys either.
That I've already said.
Yeah. You have to come up with a third person.
A third person?
Yeah.
Gosh darn it.
Legends.
Legends?
Yeah. You've worked with so many people.
Oh, David, I don't know. You? I don't know. I'm so bad on the spot.
All right. Well, how about from like on the other side of this then?
Who I hated working with?
No.
Oh. No.
Whoa. Okay.
No. I will never. No.
Actually, I'd
He's
love
dead
that.
anyway.
Well, we can talk about it.
No.
Who was the worst?
I'll tell
come
you
on.
No. No, I can't ruin his legacy.
Then who also maybe they weren't a legend, but you were like, oh my gosh, I learned so much from them, or they were so kind to you. Can you give me that person? Not me. Don't talk about me. This is not a thing for
kind to me. I don't know. It's really hard.
Well, who sticks out? They don't have to be number one, but who do
you know
in your
what?
memory
To be honest,
bank?
recently, because that's how far my memory bank goes.
Yeah,
is recent. I had a blast working with Scott Baio.
He was great.
Oh my gosh,
Scott's always fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah, you guys are actually really good in this movie, by the way. In God, God's Not Dead, In God We Trust, by the way. Hopefully in theaters by September, I think is when it's coming. But I did see a cut, and you're really wonderful in this. And Scott Baio and you guys play an interesting
dynamic.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Cat and mouse.
Yeah. I wasn't there for the shooting of those
Yeah.
scenes, so it was fun to watch you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, Scott Baio, that's a good one. And what was it? Why? What was the difference?
Sometimes people get on set, and it's all about the atmosphere in which you work, right? And some people they believe themselves to be holier than thou, and they have an inflated version of who they.
That's kind of how I walk on set.
Yeah, totally. No, but there are people who have had a lot of time invested into the industry and into their craft and don't carry it on them and still enjoy being on set and treat everyone as if, they're happy to be there. And it's sad, but it's rare, I find.
Wow.
And so to get to play, because that's what we're doing, right? To get to play on set with people who are kind and thoughtful and adventurous in what they're doing, it's exciting. It makes it all worth it.
You were it was interesting to work with you because obviously you had done so much over the years, but you have that. You had that same little girl quality of wide-eyed and excited to just be.
I'm excited to
be working. Do you, have you along the time of your career, have you ever felt not excited to work, tired, or be like, wow, this feels like a drudge? Yeah,
in the beginning of my career, I didn't have my own voice in many ways. I couldn't say no to things I didn't feel comfortable doing, or if I needed a break, I really couldn't advocate for myself between projects necessarily. But it's also one of those, like, you have to strike while the iron's hot. And so in hindsight, there are a lot of things I wish I would have done differently, maybe pushed myself a little bit harder. And
like what?
I wish that
for all those listeners out there who are young, and
for the young ones to stay continuously focused on the goal, and the goal is there's a process, and I said this already, but the strike while the iron's hot thing is like, just because you're tired, there's a momentum that's in place. And I think in my case, I started to a bit sabotage myself because there was so many things to juggle all at once. And that's kind of how it happens in this industry. It's very much feast or famine, right? So when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, it's raining, it's always going to be green. Well, that's not necessarily the case. And you go through droughts. And so
great analogy.
Oh, thank you.
From somebody from Sedona. That makes sense. There's a lot of drought there.
There are.
Is there very much greenery there?
What?
Is there very much greenery?
Well, we live in the Verde Valley, which,
has some green?
Yeah. Well, it means green. So, yes. But, yeah, so, I think that to be really...
That's Spanish, by the way.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Good job. To be conscientious about the choices that you're making, but also like be in the process of allowing the flow to occur. And sometimes it can start to feel overwhelming, but like your job is to get centered and grounded to withstand the pace at which things are happening, not to stop it. And then save that paycheck. Save it. Just about nobody tells you that. Nobody tells you when you get to Hollywood that this isn't always going to be like this. When it comes, when just to be really thoughtful with how you invest, so that you can have a duration and make choices based out of desire, not need.
Okay, so they're about to wrap us up here. So that's some wonderful advice, though. It's okay. You're still so young, right? And yet you've done so much, and you're still obviously in this industry, front and center. And how, as far as where do you set your goals going forward, knowing that you've done and accomplished so much already?
Yeah, it is interesting. I've definitely been feeling like I had to recalibrate what my goals are, because, you achieve your goals and then you're what's next? And it's like, well, okay, I have new goals. I have new desires. I have new types of films I want to be a part of. And I've set the bar even higher now. I would like to do more films that are in the theater, and I was being in a franchise was one of my goals. So this was a real blessing.
It's just like the Avengers, the Gods and Avengers.
No, well, when you make those marks, you really got to, give yourself some credit, because that was a dream of mine. I wanted to go into faith-based, and I got the opportunity to do that with you. And so, I'm still seeing these goals being met. So I'm just like, what else do I want to do? But to always check yourself and
what did you think about
next?
when I met you? I think it was like 6 months previous, right?
Yeah.
Before we ever started shooting, because of the strikes and everything else that was around.
Yeah.
When you read God's Not Dead, the In God We Trust, did you like it from the original thing? Did you said you had wanted to move more into faith-based movies? Yeah. How was that whole thing? I forget how I think I met you through our publicist. Ben Loro is the one who said originally he was like, I think he brought your name up originally.
Yes. Well, what I liked about it was that there was a message, and that's why I wanted to be an actress. That that there's something greater than yourself. That you're going to have to face situations that will require courage, and courage is doing something you don't want to do, but know you should. And are
you talking about your character?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, both, right? I mean, that's the point of filmmaking, isn't it? The point of filmmaking is to give the audience a visual context for the hero's journey. And so God's Not Dead has that. And so that's what I seek now in film and storytelling, is something to look at like, I feel hopeless and lost, and through confidence and faith and direction, if I walk through this fire, like I will get out on the other side a stronger individual. Wow, what a great place to end it.
Thank you for being here, and well spoken. And that is, it's we're gonna have to go back and re-listen to what you just said, because it was quite profound.
Thanks, David.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having me.
I had the incredible pleasure of working in South Carolina for quite a while with Sa. And you were wonderful every day. And everybody even said on the set, how giving you were to people, how kind, how incredible, put together, and always prepared. And I just want to say thank you too.
Thank you so much.
And I'm excited to share it with you guys, this movie, God's Not Dead, In God We Trust. And I hope you, but first, check this podcast out on YouTube, because you got to see Sa. Sa's got a new hairdo. You're going to want to see this right now. And her pictures when she was from 3 years old, and she was tapping, for the record.
I was?
Because you can see this picture, yeah. Check out the White House Pod, Dare to Dream, every week on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Alexa, and all other platforms. And also, please subscribe, and please comment when you watch these episodes on YouTube, because we like feedback from you guys. You guys are the best. Don't forget to dream your dreams and chase those things and take the first step. And God bless you, and we'll see you next time.